Today is Friday and our last day of working together with 4 of us who came from Sterling Mennonite to come here to Nova Scotia, as well as the many other volunteers who we've gotten to know from many other parts of Canada. We've all come here to this beautiful corner of God's creation to respond together to the disaster that happened in 2022 when Hurricane Fiona hit the East Coast. There have been other hurricanes that have come through the East Coast, but as we've talked to the locals, we've realized that none have really hit as hard as Hurricane Fiona. Here on Cape Breton Island, just a few minutes from Sydney, is a community called Glace Bay. And in Sydney and Glace Bay and Sydney Mines and North Sydney, those are some of the communities where we have been responding to and offering help and support to people who have no other way of either rebuilding their homes or repairing their homes. Over this past week, we've heard a lot of stories, and I wish I could tell you all those stories. But I just want to give you a glimpse into our week and tell you a little bit about our journey here. We've been staying in these beautiful cabins at Cape Breton. This camp has been offered to Mennonite Disaster Service to house all the volunteers as we spend some time serving in this community. This here is the hall where we have met together for food and for meetings and devotions and for games as well, where we've sat around the table and shared with one another our own experiences and our journeys and what brought us to serve at Mennonite Disaster Service. There are people from all over Canada here who have volunteered, some for 1 week, but many for multiple weeks, giving up their time to come and help the people here in Cape Breton. After we get up at 6 o'clock to make our lunches and then eat breakfast together and have a devotion, we then find out what our tasks are for the day. We're split up into different crews, and those crews then head out to the job sites to do the work that needs to be done. Our 4 people from Sterling were split up all over the place in different locations and switching as jobs were finished. There were some homes that suffered damage in Glace Bay where the wind from the hurricane actually blew the roof right off, or where debris hit the side of a house and the siding needed to be redone, or where branches and trees fell onto the house and caused damage to the house, and when the rainwater then came into the house, of course, led to all kinds of problems inside of the house. In total, there's about 40 projects that MDS is trying to respond to. And all of them are different and unique in their own way, but what they all have in common is that these folks and these families have no way to do this work by themselves. Either they're not physically or financially able to do it, and for whatever reason, they don't have insurance, or their insurance isn't willing to cover the costs of the damages. And so that's where Mennonite Disaster Service steps in, identifying those people and families who could use a hand, and then responding by sending volunteers to do the work to fix their houses so that they can live in safe places. Many of the people that we are working with aren't even able to live in their place right now. And so they're staying in hotels or they're renting places, which has already been for over 9 months. We've met a number of wonderful and lovely people who have really touched us with their generosity and their kindness and their thankfulness. And it's been great just being able to hear their stories, the stories of what they went through and the resilience that they have to keep on going. But I just want to share the story of one of the families for today. This house is located in Sydney, and when the storm hit, there was a tree that actually fell over onto the side of the house. It broke the roof, and the rainwaters then came rushing in. Now this family actually is a family of 4, and there are 2 little kids, and I really resonated with them because they're the exact same age as my kids. Their youngest, who is now about 11 months, was 6 weeks old when the hurricane hit. I can't even imagine as a parent, that experience of being at home and being worried about the hurricane and having a brand new baby, and then all of a sudden a tree comes and smashes through the house and rainwater starts pouring in, You have a 6-month-old and a 2-year-old in the other room. We were working at that house for a while, and MDS has actually been working at that place for a number of weeks. First gutting the whole place and redoing the drywall, of course with mudding and taping and then painting. When I was there, I actually had the opportunity to work on some of the flooring, and then we did the trim for windows and doors, and I was able to do some of the dapping as well. So just a little piece of that big project that I was able to be a part of. But to meet the family, to see the little baby, and just to see the hope that they have of being able to move into their house again, was so rewarding and so lovely. And just the kindness that they showed and the thankfulness really touched my heart. It was a really special experience, and I know that the other folks from Sterling and everybody else here at MDS has had similar experiences like that as well. Some of the projects actually wrapped up this week, and at the end of a project, the family is gifted with a quilt that's made by a volunteer, given a Bible, and there's a blessing that's done for the house that's rebuilt or renovated. And we heard from some of the volunteers just the beautiful experience that was to see the family, see these people move back into their place. This trip was really eye-opening, and just a great way to see the hands and feet of Jesus in action. There's so many things that we as Christians believe, and one of them at the core of our faith, of course, is the love of God and the love of neighbor. And in disastrous times, MDS volunteers show up to show the love of Jesus in a very practical way. But that's not just something that MDS does, and that's not something that you have to go halfway across the country for. That's something that we can do every day as we challenge ourselves to look out into our world and the people we encounter, and to see who needs the love of Jesus today, and how can we respond in practical and helpful ways to show people God's love. We're coming to the end of this time now here, and it's been a wonderful time, but we're also excited to come back home to Manitoba to be with our families and to be part of the church again. But we're not going to leave until we have our Last Supper, which, of course, in Atlantic Canada, when it's lobster season, has to be a wonderful lobster feast. And so we're going to enjoy this Last Supper, and then we'll see you all back soon in Winnipeg. Take care.